Do you think you're average, above average, or below average happy compared to people around you?
So I feel like I don't know. It's hard right now. It's particularly hard, and I keep going back to origami and macrame. I feel like, but I actually think I have a lot of fun with those, and that has changed my level of happiness in the last several months. Um, and so I think right now these days there's a good chance I'm above average happy. I think before that I may have said that I'm below average. Um, yeah, but again, the relevant group I'm thinking of, like people like me, around me, similar socioeconomic backgrounds and so on, right? Like in the scale of the world, I'm definitely way above average. I would imagine. Although actually that's a little tricky, right? Because humans are known to normalize things, and there are these studies of how like people after they lose their limbs actually still manage to cope, and humanity is very robust in certain ways. So if you actually, yeah, so I think it can be more complicated, but regardless, yeah, I think I'm above average happy right now.
Do you think you're above average, average, or below average happy compared to people around you?
Oh, I guess I would say average. I don't know. I'm not particularly elated or particularly depressed. So.
Hmm. And do you think you're average, above average, or below average happy compared to the people around you?
I mean, it's easy to get caught up in the day-to-day of stresses and deadlines and whatnot. But I think if I do pause and reflect and like think back, sort of larger picture, it's hard not to feel quite happy and quite sort of like it's, you know, I have a great place to live, I have a great partner, I have a cool job, get to do research for a living, like health is good, you know, like it's yeah, I think I have a lot to be happy about.
Do you think you're average, below average, or above average happy compared to the people around you?
I think I'm happier than on average, or the United most of let's say majority, let's say half of the people I know. Let's put it like that. Yeah, why am I happy? I think that's because I'm not organized. I think I can afford to be happy even when I'm probably not in a situation to be happy, because it's really difficult for me to realize that I'm in a pretty deep, at the hole that I won't be able to get out that easily because I'm not well organized.
I see. I see. Do you think you're average, above average, or below average happy compared to the people around you?
I think I don't know, like, because I'm surrounded by some happy people, so I don't know if I'm I'm below average or average. So I think I'm average. I'm not yeah. I'm not super happy. I'm not super unhappy. Like I'm the average level.
Do you think you're average, above average, or below average happy compared to the people around you?
I think above average, but I don't know. It's hard to tell what people are feeling inside, but I tend to err on the optimistic sort of side of things, and I think that serves you well in terms of feeling a bit happier. Yeah.
But you do find yourself focusing on the
Yeah, I was just about to say that, actually. I was like, which is so funny because I'm very critical of myself, but when I just like think about a whole situation or the world or different things, I tend to be very optimistic. And then when I think about other people too, I tend to be very optimistic, but yeah, at the same time, somehow critical of what I did.
But maybe that's the best of both worlds. The critical view lets you make improvements without the mindset being affected. Maybe so that's a really unique combination.
Which makes me feel like that's maybe strange, but yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
Do you think you're average, above average, or below average happy compared to people around you?
I think I'm probably high above average. I think that I'm kind of, during COVID lockdown, I remember I was saying in some meeting, look, I hate to be that guy, but look at all the positives. I am that guy. Look at all the positives.
Yeah, I think that decisively answers that question.
Yeah.
Well, I will tell you, Devi was pretty happy with the work from home arrangement. Like, she just likes being comfortable in the home and not having to deal with the commute and the temperature. Yeah, so you have at least a fellow compatriot.
Yeah, but also, I mean, there were positives, right? I mean, the fact that so it's Sunday today. So last night we had a OEA get together with a bunch of people from all over this time zone, and we may as well all have been together. I love it in work meetings that everyone is the same size. That all the videos are exactly the same size, that I can see everybody the same. There's no one at the back of the room, the front of the room. I love therefore I love all remote meetings, because anyone who is remote is completely present in the same way. So, I work in England for Microsoft, based in Redmond, in your time zone. And, previously we would be like these sort of disembodied voices coming out from behind the slides. I don't know if you remember, but, when you're on a Zoom or Teams call, often the slides are occupying the full screen in the meeting room, so you're completely disembodied. I think that equalization has just been fantastic for remote workers, of which we have always been one, being a satellite of another organization. I think it'll be interesting. I haven't yet sparked up any really substantial outside of Microsoft collaborations of that form, but I just think the more we stay all remote for most meetings, I think the more we will, reduce travel, get more ideas from more places. I think there are a bunch of positives coming from there.
And if you had to make a prediction about the future, do you think that equality will survive?
I don't know. I think, my prediction is, we all say, oh yeah, I'll work like 2 days from home and 3 days in the office. And I think what will happen is either we'll go in one day and never come out, I'll go in one Monday and I'll just come out on Friday, or and it'll be completely back to normal. I think I will, even in the office. I think this is clear in my mind. I think we will have daily stand-ups, one-on-ones, a lot of meetings. I think we'll still do all remote from adjacent, desks or offices. Why? Because number one, equality of the people. Everyone has a keyboard and monitor. This means that if we have a meeting of 5 of us, and I kind of need you there for your expertise, or because I might need to ask you a question, I'm perfectly happy to have you there, like, just low level monitoring the meeting, maybe, but you're still getting useful work done. It means you can quickly flip the meeting to something like a debugging session, right? So, chat. Oh, I'm having this problem. My PyTorch versions are interacting badly. You can just quickly screen share and say, all right, this is what I've done. And I just think that's going to remain valuable. I think the old meetings where someone jumps up and does the whiteboard causes a lot of phase out from the people who aren't actively doing the whiteboarding. So I think I can't make a prediction about where my atoms will be at home or in the office, but I am going to make the prediction that there will still be a lot of these all virtual meetings.
Fair enough. We'll find out hopefully in some time. Do you think you're average, above average, or below average happy compared to the people around you?
Wow. Okay, around me, living in the Bay Area, I feel I'm below average happy compared to people in Greece.
Okay.
I feel that I'm above average happy compared to people where I live in the Bay Area.
Interesting. Interesting. You also made fascinating claims about the means of two different populations.
Yes, I did.
Interesting.
Yeah, I feel that in Greece, even though people have very different lifestyle, they don't have as many financially, they're not as well off as the people around me here. And a lot of people are working a lot. I feel that at least I don't want to generalize because I mean, things are very tough in Greece. Like, it's been through like 10 years of like financial disaster that has impacted the people a lot. But I feel that people have a work-life balance and are so good at focusing on their social life and not being overtaken by work. So my mental thinking is that means that they're happy or that they have figured out a way to sort of vent out. But while here, I feel that everybody is so overworked and stressed out.
Makes sense. Do you think you're average, above average, or below average happy compared to the people around you? And this could be in any sphere, work or personal.
I want to say above average, but then I think everyone probably says above average, but then, there's, what's with the average, right? That should be the average. So yeah, I think if this was a Gaussian, then slightly to the right of the mean, but most likely to the mean. I think I'm to the right, but I'm probably at the mean. But yeah.
And right being more happy.
I'm sorry?
And right being more happy.
Yes, right being more happy.
Okay. Do you think you're average, below average, or above average happy compared to the people around you?
To the people around me, I don't know, average, I suppose. I feel like I'm pretty happy. I'm not exuberantly happy, but I feel glad to be alive. I love waking up every day. I mean, except for the first 10 minutes, right? I look forward to lots of things in life. And so I think I'm average or above average happy.
Do you think you're average, above average, or below average happy compared to the people around you?
I think I'm above average happy. Yeah, I feel relatively happy, particularly given how terrible things are right now. I feel like I've been able to kind of, I don't know, mostly in personal things, feel more comfortable and more together.
And does that outlook come naturally to you, or do you feel you've had to cultivate it or like work at it?
Yeah. Yeah. So personally, I think. Let's see. So personally, I was a professor in Boston for about 5 years, and I was really happy there professionally, but my partner really didn't like the city, and we had all sorts of issues that we were trying to figure out location-wise. And through just incredible luck, I was able to find an amazing job in New York, and I feel really privileged for that. And she's extremely happy here. I really like New York. It's made my life really nice. And I think in retrospect, I think I was really putting a lot of pressure and not totally understanding just how important it is to like be in a kind of fulfilling relationship and figure out those aspects of your life, as well as kind of work and professional interests.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Do you think you're average, above average, or below average happy compared to the people around you?
Yeah, I think I'm probably average, in the neighborhood of that at least. Again, the variance is very small. That's the plus. Right. My happiness doesn't swing much. It's pretty average.
Not the variance of happiness of people around you, but your variance over time. They
Yeah.
have variance of happiness over time. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so like I said, I'm pretty level as far as like overall life satisfaction and in the moment joy goes.
Do you think you're average, above average, or below average happy compared to the people around you?
I'd say above average, which is really lucky to be able to say that, but maybe just marginally. I think if we were not in the situation we're in with the pandemic and lots of other challenging things going on in the world, I could be more than just a bit above average. But I do feel really lucky. I feel really lucky to have a job at this time. Lots of people have lost their jobs. I feel really lucky to be so far healthy with the situation. And it is a job. I do get to work in something that I'm really genuinely fascinated by, which is again not true of even all of my friends. So I'm aware of that. So I think it would be a real shame if I wasn't above average happy. But of course, there are periods when I'm not, and I totally wouldn't want anyone to watch this and feel that it's very unexpected that they're not feeling happy, because I'm well aware that circumstances alone, like what might be the sort of circumstances I've just listed, I could easily still not be feeling happy at the moment. Like it's pretty tough. Like even just sitting at home doing AI research is pretty tough, like at times, right? So yeah, but fortunately at the moment I'm feeling okay. I'm feeling quite happy.
Do you think you are average, above average, or below average happy compared to the people around you?
So what were the categories?
Average, above average, or below average. And perhaps you could interpret them as above median, below median, or just in the ballpark of median, happy compared to the people around you.
I am very, very happy. Like even above, maybe even in the category above average.
Makes sense. Yeah, that doesn't, knowing you over the years, that does not surprise me. That fits my mental model of you. Do you think you're average, below average, or above average happy compared to the people around you?
The people around me. I think averages aren't useful when you're describing bimodal distributions. So I feel like I'm in one of the modes. And in that mode, I am probably in the median. But there are other modes, and I don't think I'm not in those modes. So I suspect that I am comfortable. I am more comfortable than a lot of people are. And I've been, and the world, and has been structured in such a way that I'm allowed to be comfortable most of the time. And so I'm okay with that. I think a lot of the people around me are excited. They are interested in doing what they do. They see a way in which they're going to impact the world, and they're trying to impact that world. And that is the principal component that matters here. Happiness is important, obviously, but it is in some ways beside the point, right? Because it's the struggle is the exercise, right? It's just trying to have that imprint on the world, trying to be immortal, right? And the happiness part of it can be a motivator, can be a result, but it's not the first question I ask myself. Having said that, I do know people who I think are very explicitly, even structurally, incapable of being happy, and so never will be. But it's not clear to me that they aren't content. So there you go. I think I am very on board with the way the world is going, and I'm surrounded by people who, even when they're frustrated, even when they're angry, even when they wish things were different, are still optimistic. Maybe that's the word. Maybe that's the question I want to answer. I think I am more optimistic than most. And I don't know if that makes me happy or unhappy, but I'm definitely fundamentally optimistic.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Do you find your optimism tempered by reality checks, or do you find that's unbiased optimism, that even in the face of negative news or negative projections, you continue to maintain that optimism?
I maintain the optimism. So a story some people know about me, right, is that, gosh, this would have been, I mean, at this point, it's been almost 30 years, but I once had a cop pull a gun on me and put it in my face, right? And, that was not a fun experience at all. And I've had more than one kind of interaction of that sort over the years of my life, including well into my adult life and even relatively recently. And, I still come away from those, I made it out alive, and it didn't have to be that way, but it is. So I constantly find the world is not living up to its promise or its potential. But I think at the end of the day, I just kind of think it can. And so long as we keep trying, maybe it will. And, that's kind of the best that you can do. So despite having the world occasionally remind me that it's not perfect, say every time I open up Twitter, for example, it is still the case that you see signs of headed in the right direction. You see signs of possibility. You mentioned the NeurIPS talk earlier. I think there are two ways to think about that problem, the problem of kind of the ethical use of AI and the way that we think about the world. One is the world is really messed up, right? We have a bunch of people who, again, are solving the problem in front of them without worrying about the implications. And in fact, explicitly or desperately trying not to worry about the implications because it's easier. We all have our own histories that go back centuries or even millennia of sort of unfair treatment of people. And one can come out of that and be very pessimistic. But another way to think about that discussion, to think about that area, is we recognize that it is an issue and that we believe there are solutions to it that don't require unicorns, but just require intention and thought. And then in fact, it turns out we've had the tools all along. We just have to kind of recognize them and refine them and make them better. And I think that is fundamentally optimistic. And that's optimism in the face of reality, as opposed to delusion in the face of reality. So I like to think that my optimism remains intact, with the world occasionally making certain that I'm not being delusional.
Makes sense. Makes sense. And thank you for sharing that. I knew of the incident that you're describing. You had described it once in an internal Georgia Tech gathering, but thank you for sharing that here.
Sure, of course.
Do you think you're average, above average, or below average? And you can swap that for median, above median, below median, happy compared to the people around you?
Oh, I think I'm a pretty happy person on average. I mean, I can be sad too, but I think usually I'm in a good mood. Probably better, above the average for computer scientist.
Yeah.
I think the secret to that is, though, maybe this is not the best way of, but I kind of feel like I had a much more depressing time earlier in my life. So compared to that, everything looks like constant improvement. So.
Well, I'm glad things are better, and I'm glad you're happy.
Yeah.